Hi everyone, I'm Marilyn and I am here with Astrid Halverson, and we are the co-teachers of Embodying Higher Consciousness, a course online which is starting up again on August 19th. We invite you to join us. Today we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, a little bit about the course. I'm a spiritual teacher. I've been trained as a transpersonal psychologist, but I'm really, really interested in this topic because I've realized that as I've been on my journey of spiritual awakening, it's always good to get some tools and techniques and then some support from other people on the path. So that's what this course is about. I'm going to introduce Astrid and let her give you a little bit about her.
Yeah, so I'm Astrid. I'm from Norway, and my education has nothing to do with this. So I guess who I am, I'm a channel, and I used to work in oil and gas as an administrator, and then suddenly I'm a channel. So completely switched there. But yeah, I'm a channel. I've been channeling for I think 3 or 4 years. And I remember, Marilyn, a while back, I guess it was earlier this spring, it seems like, 2 years ago, in these ascension energies. But you suggested that we create a course. And I was just curious, why did you want to create this course? What was your motivation? What did you want from this course? What is it that you wanted to achieve or that you wanted to explore through this course? Because it just came out of the blue. So it seemed like there has to be some kind of inspiration that just came to you because it was out of nowhere. And I'm curious how that process was for you, and what exactly is it you want to give through this course? What is it that you think people can get from this course?
Thank you, Astrid. It was kind of this awareness of these energies that have been kind of coming forward over the past several years. There's been this awakening process, not only in the collective, but individually. And in my awakening journey, I recognize that a lot of the work happens within, that I in particular had grown up or come to understand the world through the eyes of conditions on the outside. And I sort of thought, well, if those conditions are right, then I feel good. If those conditions change the way I want to, then I'm empowered. But in these new energies that are happening, I suddenly realized that I am actually the creator of my response to these conditions. And these conditions don't really control or rule me unless I allow them to. And in that process of kind of understanding that, I recognize that the awakening journey is really a lot about becoming more aware and understanding your higher consciousness. Like, that's the higher vibrational energy. When you start to understand yourself as the creator of your reality, when those thoughts start to come across your mind, you're like, well, wait a minute, then why am I limited by this? Or why do I believe that? Or why do I choose, them instead of me? So when all of those questions were coming together, I thought, if we could teach, if we could understand, if we can learn together about higher consciousness and how we are more than just this physical human being, but we are also this divine energy, and how we integrate that into our lives, then maybe we could be empowered to create a life that really is more authentic. And that's what brought me to choosing this idea. Your incredible channeling of this higher energy and the way that you have been working with people really inspired me to think that, there's a beautiful way we could meld these energies and kind of my experience and your abilities, and perhaps bring people together that in a way that would offer them some new tools, some new techniques, some new ways to get in touch with that inner energy and shift out of those limitations.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because I think what we need to all understand, in order to embody, you have to be it, right? And it's all about being it every day, because you mentioned, oh, the conditions don't control me. And that is so true. But that's something that we need to learn, because we spend all this energy trying to control the outside conditions because we think that's where the power lies. If I'm able to manifest this or manifest that, then I'll be happy. And it's just, that's just a huge misunderstanding. And I want to help people understand that, spirituality or spiritual practices, it's not about the 20 minutes of meditation that you take on a Saturday morning when you finally have extra time. And then the rest of the week, you're just going through the emotions, just stressing out like crazy. That's not what spiritual practice should be about. It should be about learning these tools, having a different attitude to life so that you can embody that spirituality in your everyday life. When the kids go crazy, or when the house looks like shit, or when your boss is mad at you, or when your partner yells at you, in those moments, that's where you need that attitude, those tools to have that embodiment of that consciousness, your soul energy, so that your whole life becomes better, and so that you don't have to fight life in order to just like have your head above water. And I just want to shake people and just be like, wake up, there are tools for you, because it's so important that we don't just use the spiritual practices in meditation, or when we're journaling, or when we're talking to a friend that's also spiritual, because it's not about using it for segments of the day. It's about finding those tools that change your life, not as in changing your conditions, but changing you, to change you so that you become the active participant in your life, someone that enjoys your life, and someone who can let go control, because you don't need to control life. You can just go with the flow. But it's so important that, people are taught that you don't have to control life, that you don't have to fight life, that you don't have to try to manifest this or that you can surrender and allow it all to come to you, whatever that all is. And so, yeah, I really think it's important that we get this information out there. And if you're not sure if you're a match to me or Marilyn, I think we're a good combination, because I'm pretty direct and straightforward, and Marilyn has more of that softness, the feminine energy, and more compassionate. And so we have different approaches, so you can get both, because you get two different perspectives. So we complement each other on these calls and in the course content, where we, you can get both the directness and then be soothed by Marilyn's coaching if I make you cry. So I think it's a good combination of different energies. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Astrid. You really brought up a good point there. The process of shifting perspective, working with the heart energy, learning to understand how we can open up within ourselves is so much a part of this course, where we learn to trust our own inner guidance, our own higher consciousness, where we learn to embody that on a regular basis in our daily lives, so that we're not feeling like we need to rely on what others say is right, but we can come to our own truth, but using that direct connection, that direct energy, and opening up. And that's the process that this course really is strong in helping people get into and understand how to use on a daily basis. Astrid was talking about shifting that, not just in meditation, not just while you're journaling, not just special times. And that really is how we kind of step into our higher consciousness energy on this awakening path. And then that's how the world changes, because we've got a new perspective, we've got a new way of being, and it is about being. It's about being in that consciousness. One thing I wanted to also mention is that every week when we do these calls, the group comes together, and we not only offer our perspectives, but you get perspectives from other people who are in the group. And it's amazing how that has been transformative for the group members, hearing others going through the similar situations, or hearing how we might address some of those limitations, and then people saying, well, yeah, that's the same thing that I've been going through. So there's a lot of synergy. So the group that comes together and does this work is really, supportive, respectful. It's a safe place, but it's also a really, like, if you want to get going fast, it's a way to get going fast on this path, because the energy is really big, intense, and supportive. So when we all come together, there's this feeling like, yeah, we're all getting this kind of information and understanding and awareness, and we're moving together. So there's lots of support in this course, and there's lots of opportunity to share and to learn from others, not only from us.
That's a really good point. I think we had a really good group this May during the eclipse season. So I think the interaction was really good. And like you said, there's so much help and support in just hearing other people's perspective. And you learn to integrate and realize, oh, this is how this applies to my life. Because so often you learn, these new teachings or the spiritual principles, and you're like, that's a good thing to know, but then you don't know how to apply that to your life. And that's what I think that's one of the things where we're really strong. We can help you understand how this applies to your life and your everyday situations, because it's so important that you learn to use this and that you see how it's applicable to you. It's not just, something that's written in this fancy book. It's something that relates to your life. So I think that's important. But Marilyn, what do you see as sort of the most important part of this course?
This is high vibration energy. This is like really, source energy information, source energy awareness. If we're talking about, awakening, spiritual awakening, and integrating spirituality into who we are, becoming more whole in terms of that, multidimensional being that we truly are. This course is it. This is the course that actually is going to give you that opportunity to shift into that higher dimensional perspective. I mean, Astrid is channeling very high vibrational energy, and I'm really interested in all of the transpersonal perspectives of how we really become more of who we authentically truly are, and how we bring that into our lives in a way so that, we're kind of enjoying the creations that we're involved in, that we understand how, and the course has material like, how does it relate to the actual physical body? How does surrender relate to, relationships? How does this relate to abundance and well-being in our lives? I mean, as Astrid said, there's the practical side of this, but for me, it's sort of, how do we take what we want, what we desire in our lives, and how do we become that in a way that is an authentic, natural, higher vibrational way of living? It's amazing. I think that people will, and others have said that this is a life-changing course. So the vibration, Astrid, of this course, I think is so high and so tuned in that, people are just going to feel that energy, and it feels so good. It feels so good.
I agree. Thank you, Marilyn. That was the perfect explanation of this course. I totally agree.
Yeah. The energies that we're all experiencing can be confusing because, and Astrid talks in the course a lot about like the, what do you call them, Astrid? The energies that get you all discombobulated, from the awakening. Oh, what are they called?
Yeah. So when you have ascension symptoms,
symptoms. Yeah. So you talk a lot about that. And so then we come to understand that, as energy beings, we are influenced by energy, but we have the opportunity and the ability to create what it is we want with that energy. We don't have to be victims of that energy, but we come to understand that, if we're not sleeping, or we feel like we need to eat a whole bunch of food, or we can't concentrate and we're distracted, these are things that are normal part of making these changes in our lives. And that's another piece that we get this sort of practical support, this practical help with what's actually going on in the ascension of our humanity and the planet.
Yeah.
So there's some really cool things. Is there anything in particular that you like about this course, Astrid?
I have to say, I think for me, it's like you mentioned, the surrender, but also authenticity, because basically embodying your higher consciousness or becoming your soul, it's all about becoming who you authentically are. And so there are so many things that we can do in order to find that authenticity. And it's being your authentic self completely changes everything around you, because everything is a reflection of you, right? So authenticity is such an important part of this course to me. I think we have our favorite parts, but there's just so much in there, how to deal with challenges, surrender, like you said, the physical body, authenticity and self-love. It's all in there, and how to work with limiting beliefs. It's all in there. So yeah.
If there are people who have been sort of working with spiritual teachings and perhaps, gurus or, other spiritual teachers, I'd just like to say that this course is very practical. It's very much about, giving you kind of a step-by-step, week-by-week way of really kind of evolving in this spiritual understanding, and also this greater sense of your higher self-consciousness. So it's more of a practical, hands-on type of approach. There are videos, there are readings that you can do, but we also have these great discussion kind of areas in the course where you can write in and say, well, this has really been affecting me in terms of surrender. Like, I'm having a hard time surrendering. What does that really mean in this respect, in this aspect? So we really try to get to the nitty gritty of what that practical application might be for you, because really that's the only way that we truly learn these things. We apply them in our lives. Would you agree, Astrid?
Absolutely. That's the thing. It has to be about, how does this apply to your life? And that's also where the group discussions, on the live calls are very helpful, because other people will share how this affects them or how they see this to apply to them. And then that helps the other participants to get a better understanding of what we're talking about. Because if you just read about it or hear it or watch videos, it doesn't really integrate. So I think the group calls are very, very beneficial to all the participants. So yeah.
Yeah. So we've got 6 weeks of coursework, and then we've got 6 weeks of calls. And the way that we'll be doing this is there'll be 2 calls a week. So you can participate in 2 calls, 2 opportunities to discuss what's going on in your experience, to discuss the course material, to try out some, applications of the process that are provided in the course, and then feedback. So these discussions of, well, this worked, this didn't, I don't understand this. This came up in my life. Why? It isn't, we found that there were lots of reasons why people were experiencing the things they were experiencing during the course, because it really gave them an opportunity to dig deeper into the principles that were being taught. So it's really kind of a beautiful coming together of energy. It's really an enjoyable course. Everyone participated pretty much every week because it was really, engaging. I think you find the material really, really interesting and really helpful. So we'd really encourage you, if you're interested, if this is calling to you in any way, to reach out to me or to Astrid. Through the course. There's a link below this video. We'll be happy to even jump on a call and talk with you about it prior to, but you got to get going, because we're going to start August 19th. Astrid, did you want to say anything else about that?
No, I'm good with what you said. And I think if you want to know more, if you want to read about this, go to coursetoconsciousness.com. Check us out on social media. And I think if you're listening to this, there's a reason for it. So yeah. what you said.
I love it. We really, really would like to meet you, and we'd love to join with you in this course. It's our joy to do this. So, yeah, get in touch. That's all for now.